There's a Brutal Cathar. We're going to go ahead and take Town-Raiser Tyrant number 1. Get pumped up huge number 2. And swing in for darn near lethal number 3. They're gonna let it go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just slain our nemesis in mono red. Hello and welcome to the Florida Men Gaming. My name is Furion and today we're going to be playing Magic the Gathering Arena. But before we get started, I'd like to ask that you please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think of the content so far. Let us know if there's anything you'd like to see us try or do in Magic the Gathering as we continue on this journey. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers and would love to have your support along the way. Also, if you're over there on Rumble, go ahead and hit that Rumble button. We love all the support you can give us. For today's deck, we are bringing back Say Please, but this time we're making some slight alterations. You're not going to see the alterations in our early games, but what we've done here is we've elected to remove the 2 portable holes out of slot 1 and boost our Savior of Allenbach count to 3. This deck is an incredible deck when it comes to countering the current meta. It does struggle with some larger, faster aggros like green, and unfortunately I had a loss against a green deck that I did not save. But that deck absolutely steamrolled us with just its sheer size and power. We didn't have anything that could get in the way of what they put down. But when it comes to smaller decks, token decks, control decks, we are actually faring very well currently as we have a number of things that get in the way. One of the things that gets in the way very effectively for us is the Paladin class. We're currently running 2 copies of that, and what that does effectively for us is it stops opponents from really interacting with us when we're on our play step. It adds a 1-mana tax to anything that they might try and cast. Pair that with a Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, and now they're paying 2 extra mana just to cast their own spells on our turn. Makes targeted removal and counter magic very tough choices for the opponent to have to make each time. Along that line, we're also playing 4 copies of the Elite Spellbinder. We want to get in their hand as quickly as we can and disrupt their biggest or most effective against us plays. Inquisitor Captain we're running 4 copies of. Of course, we are playing this on the Alchemy ladder. The Inquisitor Captain does give us a chance to draw into any one of our numerous exile or tax effects, as most of our deck is built around these pieces. For another 1-drop, of course, the Stonebinder's Familiar, just taking full advantage of all of the exile. 4 Skyclave Apparitions in the deck to go after any key to the archives that might come down, along with 3 Borrowed Times. We also are running 2 Circles of Confinement. Those will allow us to interact with the bigger 3-mana threats that have come down and become very popular lately. And another upside here to the Skyclave Apparition is that it does go after damage, or not damage, but mana pools of 4 or greater. So we are taking out Town-Raiser Tyrants and low-level dragons. The Borrowed Time helps us cover that gap where we can't quite hit, allowing us to take out gold spans and other large threats. And overall, this deck is just performing remarkably well. For a land base, we're running 22 land, 18 snow-covered plains, 2 Faceless Havens, and 2 Cave of the Frost Dragons. With that, we're going to show you some very exciting footage here today, and we can't wait to see you in the gameplay. We have an opponent. Alright, this is a mulligan. This is a better keep, and I think I've explained this in previous videos. When given the choice between the Apparition and the Cathar, we lean Apparition just in case we have to remove any particular threats as it relates to artifacts, enchantments, or the like. Plus, the return value for killing it is not nearly as high. Stonebinder's Familiar entering the board. Mana is evading us at the moment. Opponent makes their land drop. There's our next land drop. And we'll go ahead and swing in. Nothing to capture, no reason to play. And that's kind of what I expected, showing 2 red mana. There had to be removal at some point. Go ahead and put down another Stonebinders. At this point, we're just waiting on the opponent to play their Townraiser Tyrant, or really anything. Conductive Current, opponent electing to wipe the board. 1 mana away from that being useful, so we're going to go ahead and just pass turn, not give him anything to do. There's a Maniform Hellkite, and that is what we were looking for. We'll take that. Fearsome Whelp coming down. We're going to elect to Inquisitor Captain this turn and see if we draw into another apparition. Dragon's Fire. If we draw the Cathar, that'll be incredibly useful for removing that 4/4. There's the Cathar. With the borrowed time available and the other Skyclave apparition, there's not much they can play that we can't just take. There's a Goldspan. So opponent gets 1 good advantage off of it. Are they going to use another Dragon's Fire? Yes, they are. That burns their treasure. We'll borrow that for a minute. Do they get down an Inferno? No, they drop a Townraiser Tyrant, and there goes our Cave of the Frost Dragon. Fortunately for us, there's no haste on it. Unfortunately for them, it's a 4 mana spell, and we're gonna nail it with this apparition. And now, with it being on the beginning of the upkeep, they don't actually see the benefit like they used to. If there's no cards in hand, they don't get the draw. Opponent would have to sacrifice the orb to find another dragon if they want to have any chance here. I mean, they've got plenty of chance, but we'll have to see what happens. There's the sacrifice. Do they have enough mana to cast the dragon? There's another Townraiser Tyrant. That is not good. They don't have anything that they can use it on. We're going to go ahead and let the damage through this one time. Oh, that would be it. Opponent found it with a spell. Wasn't expecting that. Well played to the opponent. We have our next opponent. Sorin the Mirthless Avatar could be playing someone who likes black. Don't know what's going on here. We haven't had this much mana trouble in a while. That's better. Let's go ahead and drop the Portable Hole as we don't have the advantage engine behind it. Opponent showing white sleeves though, so could this be Orzhov tokens? Perhaps I spoke too soon as we draw the Familiar. Thalia will come down next turn and make a lot of their enchantments a lot more expensive if that's the direction they're choosing to go. Opponent showing Boros colors so far, and an Intrepid Adversary. Interesting choice for them. You can go ahead and swing away with that all you want. First strike will keep you at bay. No advantageous trades for you. Welcoming Vampire, that's a good play on their part. Let's take a quick peek at what they got going on. Alright, that makes sense. Let's go ahead and push that Angel Fire out of reach and let the Stonebinder start growing. Welcoming Vampire would be a trade if they decided to swing with it. Intrepid Adversary can't get past the Thalia. Falconwrath Pitfighter is a good play for them, but how good? Cemetery Gatekeeper could make their appearance, but there's nothing in the graveyard for them to exile, so it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense for it to come down just yet. A second Welcoming Vampire. Let's go ahead and take a peek at what they're sitting on. Well, we'll push that just out of range into a slight level of inconvenience here. Opponent taking their time. And they found another Cemetery Gatekeeper. One more land and we start removing Welcoming Vampires from the board. Well, that'll do nicely. Alright, the pathway is now open. Did they draw a mana with that last creature play? If they did, the Angel Fire is going to come down in a big way. Here comes Angel Fire. What do they use it on? Welcoming Vampire is going to get the pump. One more mana though, and that comes down. Another Spellbinder. Oh, and they have two apparitions. That is less than ideal here. Let's go ahead and see if we can't clear some threats from the board. Opponent lets it through. Skyclave coming down. What's the target? Do they take the Stonebinder? They do. Makes sense. There's the mana we're looking for. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Angel Fire reappear here, but does it? And where do they put it? Intrepid Adversary makes a lot of sense, as it has the highest attack power and can go right past the Thalia. Do they go for an all-in here? Unfortunately for us, most of our creatures here are sitting on very low power. Opponent is taking their time to think about it. They gave me a nice. Go ahead and hit him with the thanks. Hit him with the GG back. Not sure what their intent here is, but we'll let them do what they gotta do. It is possible that they drew dead. They could still take away one of our threats from the board with the apparition, There's nothing in any graveyard, so their cemetery gatekeepers still are going to be relatively useless. I mean, the game's not over. Unless they just don't believe they've got it. There's the Skyclave, so who do they take? They take this... okay. Circle of Confinement. It's an interesting call. Puts another blocker back in the air. They don't know, of course, that I can take the Welcoming Vampire right back off the field, and that play is, at this point, effectively useless. We will go ahead and remove... oh, there they go. Well, with that, we are back in the win column. Alright, we have an opponent. This is a good hand. We're going to go ahead and do a snap keep. When I say that, I should probably click. Alright, opponent leading with blue, showing blue-black. Let's go ahead and slow them down a little. If they've got a Fading Hope, now's the time. There's the Fading Hope. Doesn't much matter for us, though. Puts them at least one more turn away from direct removal. Savior of Allenbach is a good card. We're going to go ahead and play the Stonebinders down, play down the Sun Gold Sentinel, and get our pump by putting the Fading Hope into memory. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, is a great anti-meta card for the control decks, as it really severely slows down their play patterns. Let's go ahead and get the Spellbinder into the mix. That's a Divine Purge, and the opponent can't take it. We severely disrupted their game plan, and we're about to take away their only real ability to deal with us for at least another couple of turns. So, with that, we're going to move on to the next one. Alrighty, our next opponent has stepped up to the plate. This is a good starting hand. We're going to go ahead and keep Stonebinder's Familiar on one, Portable Hull for their early play, Circle of Confinement to follow that, and Sun Gold Sentinel available as more body. Opponent does play first, showing black, Eye Twitch coming down. That is great news for us in our play line. That's if they don't Deadly Dispute. No, they play a Shambling Ghast, which is perfect for what we need. Matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and take the Shambling Ghast, which has the ability to ramp them, and get both of our dogs pumped up. Opponent passes priority. We're going to go ahead and play the circle. Let's see if they Deadly Dispute. Looks like if they do, they might rip it off early. They let it go. And an Infernal Grasp, so they've effectively removed one dog. And now they get to draw from the Eye Twitch. What do they manage to pull down now? Environmental Sciences. And a Sedgemoor Witch. Gonna go ahead and play the Inquisitor Captain. Oh, and a Brutal Cathar is beautiful. With that, the dog gets bigger. And they lose out on their creature maker. for the moment. The environmental, looking to fix their mana, they are now up to 5, which means we need to start working on finishing this quickly. Because they could be a turn away from Blood on the Snow, we're just going to start slamming home and save some of our creature threats for the board wipe. Don't want to take any chances at this point. And we managed it. Opponent is gone. Alright, our next opponent has stepped up to the plate. This is another really good starting hand. Stonebinder on 1, Circle on 2, and then Options on 3. With the mana to run the whole thing. What is the opponent's first play? Blue-white. That is good to know. And a Foretell. Could be a Doomscar, so we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at what else they've got going on. Oh, this is an enchantment hand. Let's go ahead and take the Catilda. Could still be a Doomscar. Could also be a Saw It Coming. We'll find out in one moment. Ambitious Farmhand going to come down and bring with it a little bit of land. And a Wizard class. That's good for them. Let's go ahead and see if they want to chump. They let the damage through. That is surprising. Its opponent is scrying. And pumping the class. Let's go ahead and take away their blocker. Opponent is now down to 2, and the time is now for them to make a move. There's the Doomscar we were expecting. But that's going to tap them most of the way out. Do they have a follow-on? Another Wizard class. Let's go ahead and take that Vanquish the Horde, make it even more expensive. And now with a threat in the air, it is going to be very difficult for them to respond. Borrowed Time on deck. This might be the game. There's the Catilda. Protection from vampires is not protection from enchantments, and the Test of Talents doesn't do anything to it. Hit him with the GG, folks, and victory! Not the blue-white you typically run into, but it's the blue-white you love to take. Alright, and we're back. This time I am recording, unfortunately, because of some user error. You guys are going to miss out on probably one of the most interesting decks I think I've played against on the Alchemy Ladder in a long time. Mono black mana base with a very aggressive colorless setup using some creatures from the Zendikar Rising set that I had never seen before. Looks like here we are facing off against some dragons, so we're going to go ahead and let that go. It is a 5 mana boast to get that Dragonkin Berserker going, so we're going to go ahead and just let this through for now. And be prepared to hit them where it hurts with the Elite Spellbinder. Let's see if we can't take away some of their fun. Key to the Archive, that is not a card I want to see. Let's go ahead and put that further away. Tempt them to run the Townraiser Tyrant out against no special lands, and then we'll grab that with the Skyclave Apparition on the next turn. There's the Townraiser. And here comes the Skyclave. Opponent now has another Town Raiser. Let's see if we can't draw a mana here and maybe get a little lucky. Circle of Confinement will help. But will it help enough? Yes, it will. Time to bait them. Do they want to trade? They don't want to trade, and right now we are in the lead when it comes to damage to the face. Another Town Raiser Tyrant coming down. Oh, that is what we've been waiting for. Inquisitor Captain. Can we grab an Exile card? There's a Brutal Cathar. We're going to go ahead and take Town Raiser Tyrant number 1. Get pumped up huge number 2. And swing in for darn near lethal number 3. They're gonna let it go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just slain our nemesis in mono red. They got karma for playing the key, and as a result, we have gotten our latest win. Alright, our next opponent has stepped up to the plate, looking like it could be a opponent who favors red. Let's go ahead and mulligan, see if we can get that third land. This will be a good keep. We'll go ahead and put the Apparition down for now, as we have a Circle of Confinement which can hit almost the same range of targets, and the Thalia will allow us to slow their roll here in case they are playing Azorius. Gotta love a mute button, ladies and gentlemen, as the sneeze I just had would have rocked your world and blown out your eardrums. Let's go ahead and take away their enchantment value engine and start poking. Looks like we could be playing an Orzhov Enchantments deck here, which is a little less than ideal. Those decks are very potent, and another Faithful Disciple hits the board. Having 2 Spellbinders in hand gives me less hope that we're going to hit one here with the Captain. But, as they say, Shuffler is fine. Let's go ahead and push away that Sacrifice engine, make this a little more difficult for them, and we'll go ahead and pass the turn. That Faithful Disciple is going to just take whatever damage we throw at it right now so that it can start pulling its desired pieces. Wedding Announcement's going to fill the board. Fortunately for us, we have another Spellbinder. And because we can, let's make your Village Rites cost your entire mana base. At this point, we can now race them as long as they don't draw into a Meat Hook. Meat Hook for 1 cleans the board. Ooh, they didn't get it. This is exciting for us because we can now take the Wedding Announcement off the board and, again, set them back even further from their game plan. Or they can elect to go for the full 5 Rite of Oblivion. They went for the full 5 Rite of Oblivion, and they only used it to get back the Disciple, instead of removing the Thalia, which up to now has probably been the biggest obstacle to their success. Oh, and the Skyclave Apparition right on time. No counters for you. Opponent now down to 9. We have a heap of damage available on the board. They will have to have drawn into a board wipe to really give themselves a fighting chance to get back in this. Another Rite of Oblivion coming down, exiling one of our aerial threats. Do they try and attack? They don't. We're going to go ahead and take away one of their blockers. This is playing right into their hands, giving them an enchantment, but we're going to go ahead and do it for the sake of getting the damage home. Opponent's going to be down to 3 here. I lied. They have made a smart choice on blocks, and they're going to be down to 4. Do they have the Massacre? Either way, with the Thalia slowing it down, they're going to have to play it at almost full power here. And that will sap them of most of the mana that would be typically available to them. And they're gone. This deck gave us a little bit of trouble on our last video, but not today. Alright, welcome back. That was a fun series of matches. Ended up having a really good series of showdowns. Really bummed about one particular game. I thought I was recording, had the entire commentary to my wife, who was in the room with me, actually laughed at me when she realized that I had forgotten to hit the record, after some sympathy, of course. But she got to witness the whole interaction and realized that I had been in the room talking to myself for no reason. That is one of the downsides, of course, to YouTube as opposed to Twitch. I heard it said on the ArenaCraft podcast lately, the upside of Twitch is you're not alone. You get to have conversations and you get to interact. Whereas with YouTube, I might as well be sitting in a padded room. I'm just sitting here talking to myself. That being said, this deck performed remarkably well. We're going to go ahead and pull up the stats here brought to us by untapped.gg. See how this deck did overall for the day. And let's take a quick look here. Say Please has moved up to a 57% overall rating between last season and this season. Today's version, we went 2-0 with the updates where we removed the Portable Hull and the Savior of Allenbach. Like I said, we didn't do a lot of time with it today. And then overall, the previous version, which was the one we played most of the day, we went 5-2 on the ladder, moving through Platinum. So overall on the day, we are 7-2 with this deck. The deck overall, again, is now up to a 57% win rate at 21-16. Savior of Allenbach, if you're not on this card, it is one I recommend in the Exile archetype. Really, really effective, and not for the reason most people, I think, look at it initially. The training does give it the chance to exile something, but if you read it, you get to exile a creature card from a graveyard or from the battlefield. Most people look at this and think it's just another knockoff Brutal Cathar or Skyclave Apparition that as soon as it's removed, the opponent gets back whatever you took. But if you play it to recoup your own graveyard, this card gains you insane value, as all along the way, you'll keep building and burying creatures that the opponent has removed, and then if they decide to remove the Savior of Allenbach, you get to refill your field. So board wipes become much less effective. And this card can then, if it has Spellbinders underneath it, attack the hand for another opportunity to get in there. If it has Apparitions, you can attack the field with whatever's there, Cathars. It is a glorious card, well worth the investment. It's going to have at least 1 to 2 opportunities to train, as most of our creatures are 2 and 3 power. The Faceless Haven has 3 power, the Cave of the Frost Dragon. And if the Stonebinder's Familiar is up and growing, this will keep scaling with its training effect, and you will be able to play multiple turns, burying your graveyard below it. So, definitely well worth a look. I definitely recommend this deck. If you've been watching the videos and you're into Magic the Gathering, please give it a try. It is well worth your time if you have the cards, or even some of the cards. You can make little tweaks as you can. It is a pretty intense deck for rares, but you know, if you have them already, run them. I know mono white has been kind of a staple, so a lot of people, to get the budget effective decks, have built a lot of the mono white staples already. And with that, we appreciate you hanging out with us and watching the video today. We will see you in the next one. This is Furion from the Florida Men Gaming, signing off.